Hello and welcome back to Scale Me Down and to the last episode in this multi-part series about scratch building this radio controlled 2-seat Spitfire. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. In this episode we're going to conduct the Maiden flight. We'll see if she flies. First, let's get started by conducting a range check and a check of the failsafe. To do this, we plug in the flight battery and then pace out 30 metres. Then we put the transmitter into range check mode and we check that the surfaces move correctly. And we do this in a number of orientations and with the motor running and with it stopped. Then, to check the failsafe, we turn off the transmitter and after a short delay the surfaces move to their commanded positions. Right then, here goes. Once trimmed, she settled down nicely, although in fairness there wasn't much trim required before she'd fly hands off. She's very stable in all axes and control harmony seems alright, perhaps just a bit keen on the elevator. The stall seems pretty benign with not much wing drop. There's plenty of power on hand with this setup, but there's that annoying vibration you can hear. As I was pretty happy with the trim, centre of gravity and power on hand, I decided to throw in a loop before it was time to land.
A successful maiden flight. Wow, that's a relief. I find maiden flights quite stressful as it can end in tears very quickly. However, she'll agree she flew very well. There are 4 items though I'd like to address before she flies again. You'll notice from the video there was a bit of vibration, particularly at full power. And I remembered to balance the propeller before it was fitted. I can't remember whether I balanced the spinner or not. So we're going to rebalance the spinner. You'll notice from this bit of damage here that what's happened with the vibration, the back of the spinner has touched the front of the aeroplane and it's just melted it away a little bit. And that's because the firewall could do to be beefed up a little bit. So we're going to do that as well. I also found that the elevator was far too keen, so I'm going to reduce the elevator throw in the radio gear. And finally, although there was plenty of power, even on this 3-cell setup, I think we might benefit from changing the propeller from an 11.7 to a 12.6. So let's make those changes.
Let's start by removing the motor. I beefed up the firewall by adding 3 layers of carbon fibre wetted out with epoxy resin. I used this Dubro prop balancer to balance the spinner and the new propeller. I couldn't believe how out of balance the spinner was. And now put it back together again. Time to try again. Now I'm happy a launch from inverted proves more reliable. This is because a grip of the fuselage at the centre of gravity yields a straighter push. Just watch what happens to the pitch attitude during this launch from behind the wings. Anyway, on with the flight. There's loads more power than required now.
and in fact it will fly on less than half throttle. The elevator sensitivity is toned down and she's now a real pleasure to fly.
I've really enjoyed designing and building this model together with you. And now that it's finished, it will provide lots of fun flying opportunities over the forthcoming years. I think we've all earned one of these. I'd like to especially thank, however, some of the contributors to this project, including Carlos Sestra, who drew the original 3D design, Vortex Vatforms, who provided the canopies from our moulds, Steve Webb Models, who provided some of the building materials and some of the electronics, Prism Design and Print, that printed the plans from our drawings, D&J Factoring, who provided the paints to finish the model. And this model commemorates the 10 years it's been since I went to fly the full size with the Boltby Flight Academy. The project's brought back many happy memories. Stay tuned to the ScaleMeDown channel for future build series videos, model flying videos, air modelling know-how videos, and if you have any suggestions as to videos you'd like to see us make, please leave them in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.